Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, how bigoted do you need to be to fast forward a lesbian kiss in Disney's Lightyear? Pretty bigoted, you know. Very sad. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Hello, happy to be here.
Did you see this story?
I vaguely know the story. To a degree, I stopped reading these things because I'm like, there's so many like similar variations of these stories these days where I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, so I have two thoughts on this one. So there's a lesbian kiss that apparently was pulled out and put back into the movie. One of the characters is a lesbian. He has a lesbian relationship. There's a kiss.
I think I've seen the clip on Twitter.
You've seen the clip?
Like 2 seconds.
It is a nothing kiss.
Yeah, it's like a 2 second.
It's like
they walk into a door, or like into a room or something, and then
it's the equivalent of like a kid kissing their parent on the lips. You know, it's
like
that kind of kiss. It's a nothing kiss.
So I like them making out. And
if they did try to fast forward this, they would totally like overdo it and like fast forward through a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's 2 seconds.
I don't even know if you can fast forward film. If that's like a thing that you do in projector.
I've never tried to fast forward, so who knows?
Like, I know they're probably digital files or whatever, so I imagine there's some sort of ability, but yeah. Crazy story, crazy people. What a week for crazy people. Alright, on today's show, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history, giving some thumbs to some trailers, talking about some film and TV news, talking about this week's top 3. Kick things off, I've got a review up at explosion.com for Elvis, the latest film from Baz Luhrmann, based on Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, and his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, starring Austin Butler, Tom Hanks, Olivia de Jong. What did I write? While Austin Butler's great performance, Baz Luhrmann's style, and the wonderful musical performance may be enough for some, many will find themselves wishing for more under this film's shallow surface. Trying to encapsulate the life of such an iconic figure within one film was always going to be a struggle, but the approach taken here doesn't do justice to Butler's work or to the king himself. So the idea behind this film is it's got this framework of Colonel Tom Parker, yes, played by Tom Hanks, under like a bunch of prosthetics and a fat suit and a giant nose, doing a crazy accent. He's Elvis's longtime manager, who was pretty much trying to take advantage of him, doing things, managing him in a way that was in his own best interests rather than Elvis's own wanting to will to do things. This film is told from his perspective, from his deathbed, where he's like trying to tell himself that he lived a good life and like he wasn't really the villain of the story and like that kind of stuff. So then it jumps back to the first time he met Elvis, and then it proceeds to jump around time-wise all over the place. There is so much text in this first, 15 minutes of this movie. 1959, blah, blah, blah. 1961, blah, blah, blah. 1973, blah, blah, blah. Las Vegas. It is a bit of a mess. It just jumps all around all over the place. It just doesn't delve deeply into anything. I think the main thing I pulled out of this film was they've been promoting Priscilla and Elvis's relationship in some of the advertising. She's in maybe 3 scenes. The first time they meet, they historically break up, and before one more time before the end of the movie. So, it's not. There's very few moments where it kind of delves into the character of Elvis or any of the key relationships outside of his relationship with Tom Parker. But Austin Butler, he's fantastic, really fun to watch, even though, there isn't a lot of depth to the Elvis character, and the film kind of portrays him as the film doesn't have a clear vision of what it wants Elvis to be, but first thing I thought is, wow, they're kind of making him look like a superhero, because obviously he's got the whole hip thrusting thing that makes women go crazy, and they make that these crazy like origin story moments. Lot of great musical performances though. Austin Butler sounds like Elvis, sings like Elvis. It's kind of crazy, especially in a sequence towards the end of the film where I don't think it's that much of a spoiler to say like it cuts to real life footage, and it's pretty seamless. It's pretty impressive that. But yeah, it's enjoyable enough. It is very long. It's like 2 hours 45 minutes, and I feel like if they wanted to tell this story, it would have been better to like focus in a little bit more, or bit up like a miniseries or something like that. Which I think they've done miniseries on Elvis and that kind of stuff before. But yeah, I gave it a 6. I think it's all right. I went with Buddy, and he said his nan would not enjoy watching this movie, even though she's an Elvis fan. I wouldn't say he's completely wrong. I feel like this is a movie that people will definitely like, but very few people will love, because there's going to be something that bothers everybody about this film. Like there's going to be one aspect that people aren't going to like. I think whether there's a lot of contemporary music like used instead of period pieces, or covers of Elvis's songs throughout the film, rather than like actual performances and that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's just a lot of weird choices and weird stuff, like crazy camera angles. There's like 3 or 4 times where it does, that swirling camera shot where it spins around, the whole world spins around the camera. Yeah. It's a mess. But Dylan, are you going to go watch Elvis?
Probably not.
No? You're not intrigued by how much people are?
I might wait I'll probably just watch it home.
That's fair.
I got enough going on at the moment that I'm behind on. That I don't need to go spend time watching a mediocre Elvis movie.
but the cinema. Okay, yeah.
I'm going to the cinema, not to watch Elvis.
All right. Well, yeah. My review's up on the website. Check it out. Give it some clicks. All right. We just finished the the special event series, Obi-Wan. Of course, we've been talking about it each episode over on Holocron Entry with the podcast series. Hello there. But Dylan, what are your overall thoughts on Obi-Wan?
I thought it was a solid
Obi-Wan Kenobi, sorry. Yeah, I keep calling it Obi-Wan. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So I did as well, so yeah. It's a solid Star Wars series, but I don't think it does anything too unsafe. Like, it definitely plays towards, and that's not shocking to say, I feel, these days, knowing what Star Wars stuff's been coming up, but it definitely plays towards, I think, the safe end of what an Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series / movie would and could be. So if there's certain things that you were expecting from this and you haven't watched it yet, I can almost guarantee that they're in here. There's the most surprising thing, which, look, the best character I can't say, because if somehow you've dodged spoilers for this at this stage, good job, I guess, but the best character is someone they didn't actually advertise. There's a really intriguing villain that I quite like, one of the new Inquisitors that we hadn't seen before that's introduced for the series is another really great character. Just getting to see Ewan McGregor return to that role is worth watching alone, because he brings such a presence, I think, to Star Wars, and he's so just warm, I guess, on screen as a character. Obi-Wan Kenobi is. There's some interesting stuff in here, but overall, I don't feel like they went as deep as they could have into having a more methodical, deeper, psychological Obi-Wan series, which is what I personally would have liked, but I still enjoyed it for what it was, and it's fine. It's just perfectly watchable Star Wars, that if you like Star Wars, you'll probably enjoy this. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. I just think it's good. It's fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed the series, but I don't think it's must see. Unless you're I don't think it's going to turn anybody onto Star Wars. You know what I mean?
No.
I think it is for fans of the series. Well, yeah, fans is a strong term, but but people who like Star Wars and enjoying what Disney Star Wars is, enjoy the prequels. It's enjoyable, like you said. One of the elements that was not advertised, but one of the characters, fantastic. Want more of that character, potentially. Fantastic performance by the the actor. I think, the third sister, Reva, she's fantastic. She has a great arc over the season, which, goes to show, don't have knee-jerk reactions to, like, premiere episodes. A simple case of, hey, let's binge watch this entire show, and then you'd understand, this week-by-week release schedule, like, really screws these performances that are, like, set for a whole thing.
No.
But yeah, there's some interesting choices towards the end of the series that's like, that seems weird. Like, that's not the choice I would make, but, I guess it makes fans of Obi-Wan happy. And, they leave the door open for more Obi-Wan adventures. So yeah, check out Obi-Wan on Disney Plus, and of course you can check out Hello There over on Holocron Andrews, the podcast feed. You should definitely subscribe because we'll be talking about Andor and an unnamed yet podcast on the Holocron feed. Alright, I went and watched Minions: The Rise of Gru.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice job. Good job.
Nice, yeah. Completely, only took 2 tries. So this is a prequel to the first Despicable Me movie, but a sequel to the Minions movie.
Which was on TV the other night. And I watched like half of it because I was eating dinner and it was on.
Yeah. In which, the Minions are working with 12-year-old Gru. His favorite team of supervillains is called the Vicious Six. One of them gets double-crossed by the other 5. And then they advertise a spot in the Vicious Six, which Gru applies for. And is subsequently laughed out of because he's a child. So, in retaliation, that he steals this magical stone that they've stolen and they're going to use for some mysterious, nefarious means. So then the Vicious Six have to chase him down to get their stone back. And hilarious minion stuff happens as well.
Does he still just sound like an adult? Is it still just Steve Carell just doing Gru?
No, it's a bit more. They definitely tune his voice, but it is Steve Carell.
Yeah. Because I knew it was him, but I was just thinking about it then. I'm like, is it like?
No, it's they've definitely put it up a couple of octaves. You know what I mean? Okay. I found it likable enough. It's just fine. They've got like multiple plot lines because they grew up from the Minions, so the Minions have their own plot of like learning to be good minions, I guess, kind of. And then another minion is trying to transport this stone across the country. Because I don't actually know where they're based, but they all show up in San Francisco. And then Gru's been kidnapped by the 6th member of the Vicious Six who got double-crossed. But they end up bonding. I think, which is the most interesting of the storylines of like the idea of Gru, like having a mentor and that kind of stuff. There are a few different hints to the like certain characters in the Despicable Me universe through the show. The Vicious Six themselves are crazy, are very amusing, even though there's like nothing to them. They're all voiced by like big action stars. So Taraji B. Henson, who plays Bell Bottom, the main leader of the group. You've got Jean-Claude Van Damme as Jean-Claude, who is a guy with like a lobster claw for a hand. That's pretty funny. You've got Lucy Lawless as a nun who seems like she's got holy powers or whatever. She's called Nun Chuck, and she has nunchucks. Dolph Lundgren plays Svengeance, who's the guy who just roller skates. I guess he's Russian. Danny Trejo plays Stronghold. He's just got big metal hands. And then Alan Arkin plays Wild Knuckles, who's like who's the guy who gets double crossed and like has a big emotional arc through the film. So yeah, I liked it. It's fine. It's not going to be it's fine.
So what you're saying is, if you don't like the Minions movie,
if you don't like this universe,
this
isn't for you. Yeah, this is for people who enjoy the Minions, who enjoy their kind of humor. Banana. There is bananas in this,
Has to be bananas. The favorite thing.
Yeah.
For Kevin. Bob. Fuck, what's that one? Can't remember what's that. You know the main three? Stuart. Stuart. Kevin, Bob, and Stuart. They're the three main ones.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fine. I'm surprised it's taken so long. What, Minions came out 2017?
I think it was delayed.
I guess they did have a third one in
a
third Despicable one in between. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I did also go see the latest Pixar movie, the first one to be seen in cinemas.
Crazy.
Couple of years, Lightyear. So, Dylan, how would you describe Lightyear for people, like the premise of explaining it?
As someone who hasn't watched the movie?
Yeah, no, so they don't know about the movie.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, like, as someone who hasn't watched the movie, this is my understanding of what Lightyear is.
Yes.
Lightyear is the movie that Andy watched in the cinema, of which they then made Buzz Lightyear toys for in Toy Story that he wants and buys.
Yes. That is exactly right.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why people are getting so confused about this.
I really don't think it's that hard to understand, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is obviously Buzz Lightyear. He's a space ranger. Pretty much kind of explained the opening of this movie. They're in this giant transporting like a bunch of people across the universe. They're all in like cryopods or whatever, like during the journey, so they don't like age too much.
Zod.
Yeah. They land on a planet, the ship. The planet is bad. It's got like crazy vines that pop out of everywhere, crazy insects that attack everybody. Before they try to escape, but Buzz crashes into a cliff on the way out, and the ship crash lands, and they're stuck on this planet without their hypersonic drive thing, so they can't like travel fast or whatever. So now they're stuck on this planet, so they decide, hey, we're going to rebuild, we're going to mine resources from this planet to get this fuel source back so we can go back home. So then Buzz proceeds to become a test pilot for this new fuel that they're developing. But they soon discover that every time he does a flight, even though it's 4 minutes for him, it's 4 years for everybody else. Like, it's full Interstellar kind of stuff involved in this movie, which is kind of very funny to me. So yeah, after several of these trips, Zurg and his robots suddenly show up one time. And Buzz has to stop the Zurg spaceship so he can bring the fuel source to the main settlement, which is under attack, but protected by a giant laser shield. So, they can leave this planet. So, yeah. And he's got a fun ragtag team of trainee space rangers to work with. Yeah, I found it super enjoyable. It's like, there's a lot of fun callbacks and like lines. Like all the lines that he's, when you push his button, he says, they're all in the movie.
To infinity and beyond. Yeah,
that's like, there's that, but then like, not today, Zurg, and stuff like that. And then he's also got this whole thing where he likes to, he as a coping mechanism, he like records those mission logs. Yeah. Like he'll just narrate to himself all the time.
Which is what he does.
Yeah. Super enjoyable. It looks very pretty, of course, I don't think it's Pixar's best work, but, it is certainly an enjoyable experience in the cinema and like a fun, quirky, like space adventure. Like, I think they were going for like that kind of vibe anyway. So, I think they achieved what they set out to do. Lots of fun. Taika plays one of the trainee officers who's like very scared and just doesn't want to be there and is constantly quitting, trying to escape and that kind of stuff. But the star of this movie is the cat, Socks, his robot companion, who's trying to help him this entire film. Very funny throughout the movie. Just a joy, and yes, I look forward to Socks being the big toy seller out of this movie. Yeah, it's a good time. I recommend going out to the cinema and checking out Lightyear. Yeah. All right, Dylan, you've been watching The Time Traveler's Wife, the latest adaptation of that novel, and definitely not the version that Eric Bana and Rachel McAdams starred in.
No. So I watched that movie back when it came out. I thought it was bad. And then I remember watching a trailer for this and being like, yeah, it looks alright, I guess. Bit weird that Stephen Moffat's doing it, but that's interesting. Because that was the thing. Like, it's written by Stephen Moffat, who is most famous for Doctor Who. He's done a bunch of other things, but like that was his. I guess that's what most people would know him from. And then like, I don't know, what else would people know him from? Oh, Sherlock, I guess. Sherlock with Mark Gatiss, I guess, sort of thing. It's directed by David Nutter, yeah, that's it. So, who's most famous for Game of Thrones as well, so it's a weird mix of stuff happening there. It's actually really good. I'm really, really enjoying it. I don't think it's finished or no, maybe it finished this week and I haven't watched. I've got maybe 2-3 episodes left I'll have to catch up on. But the premise here, for people who don't know what the story is that movie starts, you have like a little bit of narration, they introduce you to Claire and they introduce you to Henry. They're recording these like videos to like talking to the camera and they're like makeup up to look a bit older at this point and stuff like that. So, this is sometime in the future. And they're talking about how it's like to be married, married to a time traveler, of which Claire is, because Henry is a time traveler. And they introduce you very quickly to how the rules of time travel work in this, which is that Henry has no control over the time travel. It just happens. Like, he'll pop in and out and be like, they'll be having dinner. Henry pops out, no idea where he's gone. Eventually he'll pop back. And that's sort of how his entire life will be. Did he go forward in time? Did he go back in time? Did he go to when he was a child? No idea. So, that's the sort of how they cover that quickly and introduce it. And then the show starts in like, I can't remember exactly what year, but like say it's 2022. You've got Henry, who's maybe like 20s at this point. He's working at like a library. Claire's like however old at this point. She's a bit younger than him, a couple of years or something, I think. And then she runs into him at the store, and she's like, "Oh my God, Henry!" But this is like the first time he's meeting her. However, you then get like the backstory that she's known him since she was like 10. Like, so he started like, so this is where it gets all timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. So they met when at this age, but then as they got older, he starts popping back in time to when she was a kid, when they're already married in the future. Like, so they're married at this point, but then he starts popping back to when she's a kid, and they actually begin like talking just at that point, and he knows that he doesn't tell her that like, hey, I marry you when you grow up, because that would be a bit weird. Like, it's just
my question is there a groomer kind of feeling about this whole
No. So at first you would say yes, and I feel like that's the I guess the potential is definitely there for that, and that was one thing I was worried about. I think the way they do it is no. So the other thing is that as Claire gets older, so even when like say so when she gets to like teenage years and she's 16, she's like trying to hit on him, like trying to hit on Henry and stuff. And he's like, no, I'm like he always is like, no, we can't do this, but I have a wife in the future. And like he says I have a wife, even though she's his wife.
She's the wife.
All this, yes, like all this sort of stuff. And they actually bring up some interesting points, like when they're like in the future, when they're like together, like when you have these things happening, you have scenes where she's like, I grew up, you were like I grew up, you were my ideal, basically saying like I grew up being attracted to you and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, yeah, but like I've only ever known you like this. It gets into some like weird, like timey-wimey sort of stuff. But I generally think Rose Leslie is like really good in this. And also Theo James is the way he portrays the different age points of the same character. And there's even scenes where he's playing himself twice. They don't play into the whole don't run into yourself. That doesn't exist in this. They'll very happily talk to one another. Like they know, because he knows he'll pop back in time and all this sort of stuff and what have you. So there's lots of interesting stuff that happens there. And I don't want to spoil everything, but I'm very much enjoying it. I'm keen to finish off the the last few episodes and see how it goes. But yeah, it's very good. I feel like it also, if you enjoy the way Steve Moffat likes to do time travel stuff, like then in Doctor Who, then you'll also enjoy the way some stuff is portrayed here. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So I've been watching the new series on Paramount Plus from the creators of American Vandal, Players. So this is, much like American Vandal, a mockumentary about a League of Legends esports team called Fugitive Gaming, centered around their franchise veteran, Cream Cheese, and their new up-and-coming prodigy rookie, Organism. Following, it's very much a parody, I guess, or satire on sports documentaries. I mean, there's very clear, clear visual references to The Last Dance, which obviously was a massive success. But also like a very much a satire on esports as a whole. And like this whole, it's set in like present day, but also then they cut back to like 7 years ago when this team of upstarts are trying to become League of Legends players. And you've got obviously Cream Cheese, who's the main focal point of the series, who's a bit of an egotistical, like, showboaty kind of player. While Organisms is like very quiet, like talented ADC person who's built this online following, but has never like played as part of an esports team before. And gets thrust into the world of professional esports. I find it really fun, and like a lot of the like League of Legends references I don't necessarily get, but I feel like they do enough to like make it easy to understand for people who who probably don't know esports that much, or
my thing with this is like, if this was just a regular sports, like about football or whatever, if you didn't get 100% of the references but it was still funny, then it's like still fine. So
but yeah, I think the arc for the season so far is really great. I don't think it's as good as American Vandal, which felt like like it was making fun of the genre of the like true crime genre. And this seems like it's just another entry into sports documentaries and that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's lots of like little details that are like really impressive. Like they could have easily done like interviews where they just shoot them the exact same every single episode, but like they'll shoot them in like different locations or like different in different outfits as well. So it's very like, it's shot like it's like an actual documentary. Like those little details, rather than, hey, come in here, we'll shoot like 5 episodes worth of like interviews in this one go. Yeah, it feels a little bit more handmade and that kind of stuff. Cast is really good, and they've got like that. It definitely feels like a documentary. It doesn't feel like they're putting it on, like, or doing it feels real. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's 5 episodes now. I'm looking forward to watching that 5th episode. It's on Paramount Plus. Dylan, you checked out the first episode, right?
I did check out the first episode. It was quite funny. I'm looking forward to watching the rest as well. I think the League of Legends references are good. I definitely don't feel like you need to as I'm saying, I don't feel like you need to play League or have watched League or anything to watch the show, because as you're saying, you still find it very funny. But as someone who did play League a lot and still watches like some of the competition stuff sometimes, the jokes and stuff are written in a way that doesn't actually, like, it feels like they come from a point of like appreciation, like they're real, you know, like everything they're saying is like a real thing, you know, like it doesn't feel fake. Does that make, you know, like it doesn't feel like someone, like I think in the first episode he's like talking about really fucking up this funny like Alistar combo. He's like, man, I just mucked up the Wombo combo, which is what everyone calls it. Like that's what it's like known as, the Wombo combo.
I thought it was like something he made up.
No, so that's what I'm saying. Like he's saying Wombo combo. I know exactly what he's talking about. It's like a appreciated moves where Alistar as a character, you can like slam into someone and you like then use another move to push them into the wall, and then as you push them into the wall, you quickly press another move and slam them up like into the air. So it's like a Wombo combo. That's what it's known as. So that's what I mean. Like it's a real, like he's saying real terminology. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's got such a classic kind of central storyline, the aging veteran, like, who wants to keep his spot on the team, wants to win that championship finally, and then the young rookie who's being pushed to the moon, you know what I mean?
The aging thing's also quite funny because, like, he's probably 25 and then the other person's 18 or whatever. And it's like making fun of the fact that esports is
it says he's 27, so I mean, he's
he's really old then. Like, he's really old. The other thing I was going to quickly say is also a lot of the commentators and stuff and people they have in it are real LCS commentators and like famous faces. That
apparently Riot was pretty heavily involved in it as well, and like had people like fact checking and involved, which makes sense. I think I was actually surprised how it was because like a couple of logos at the start of it, I'm like, are they doing bootleg versions of those logos? But yeah, they must have gotten them on board. I'm really enjoying it. Even the back old school footage, like the Flash jumping back to like 7 years ago, like phone filmed footage, that looks really great. And like definitely feels true of that era. Really great. And fun.
The first episode, he's like, we used to go hard back then, just drinking lots of hot sauce or something.
Yeah, they did shots of hot sauce.
Shots of hot sauce.
Is a thing.
We all
like
wild.
Pulling pranks on each other. Yeah.
Yep.
We're the bad boys of esports.
Yeah.
So players, check it out on Paramount Plus. Episodes releasing weekly. Where am I going to go? I checked out a documentary on Binge, which unfortunately is very timely. The Janes. It follows a bunch of women in the pre-Roe v. Wade era. I want to say, be like 70s? Early 70s, I guess, doing the math. Who in Chicago, who organized secret abortions for women under the name, like, they would say to women, hey, just call Jane. Because apparently Jane isn't a name that many people have, or didn't have at the time. So they call this number and say,
common name, so.
Not a very common name. Nobody uses the name Jane anymore. Call Jane. They ring this number, and they say, can I please speak to Jane? No, it was like a voicemail. It's like, if you want to talk to blah, 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 or Jane, leave a name and message, and they just leave their information, and then they get in contact with them. They were very much doing this very illegally. To the extent where they didn't realize till much later that the person they had doing these abortions was not a doctor.
Yeah. Well, they're about to have to do this again, I guess.
Yes, I mean, that's the saddest thing. It's like, all these crazy things they had to do, how, like, different abortion laws, like, when they started to letting people in, like, New York and stuff have abortions, like, the client base that they had for their service very much shifted where all the wealthy white people were able to go get their abortions safely in New York, whereas the clientele changed into a lot of minorities and that kind of stuff. And it goes over the course of how they were managed to pull this off, how it affected them all personally. Very powerful stuff. And, I watched this the day before.
Wow.
They actually, I think we all knew it was coming, but like,
I know. Well, I mean, not to go.
Because obviously it'd been leaked.
I didn't actually think that the vote would go that way, but proves how naive I still am. So
yeah, very naive.
I had some hope for America.
They literally leaked it.
How dare I? Yeah, but I'm like, I didn't believe it. I was like, no.
Out of all of us, I'm surprised you had any hope.
Yeah, but I was like, that's so far. Like, that's crazy. That's not going to happen. And I'll wake up next morning, check Twitter. Fucking
everybody, yeah. I would recommend watching it because, it's probably, there's a very good chance that, things like this might have to happen again. So this is playing on Binge. Dylan, you've watched something on, finished something on Binge. You've finished watching We Own This City.
Yeah, this is a really good, I think I've talked about it, once or twice? I can't actually remember. This is the series that stars John Bernthal.
Yes.
Main character. True story about was it Brooklyn? No, it's not Brooklyn. It's somewhere else. Fuck is it? I forgot what city it is.
Wherever the wire set.
Yes, Baltimore. Sorry, that's it. So it's a true story about the Baltimore Police Department, their gun task force, which John Berthnall's character is like a part of, which was set up to like track down and get guns off the street because Baltimore has like one of the highest crime rates in America, still does. And sort of what they ended up doing, this unit, is like complete abuse of power. So example of what they would do quite often is they would track down and they would find, hey, this drug dealer has like a whole bunch of cash and like guns and whatever. They would like do a raid. They would pocket, say if they found like 100 grand, they'd like pocket 50,000. Say they only found 50, you know, the guns and all this sort of stuff. And that leads to them just like, they were pretty much just stealing off. They would pull over people, find cash in their car, you know, like steal it, like hand them it. Like that was just like complete abuse of power. And it was the whole like, well, they're the criminals, so we're the good guys, but it's not really how they work. So you have like that side of the story. You get to see the side of the story from another cop who moves to like the I guess like a normal detective, you know, just looking at the murders and stuff and like seeing how he like moved from one side of the force to the other and like how they affect each other. Then you have another character who's sort of coming in to try and fix the like from the mayoral side, I guess, or whatever, like to help fix the inside from there. Yet like everyone's just corrupt, or nearly every character in this is corrupt, and it's crazy to see what sort of went down. And it's even like not, I would highly suggest watching it. It's 6 episodes, especially if you like The Wire, because it's from the same person and it feels very similar. It's only a 6-episode miniseries though. There's no more. Like it's a story done out sort of thing. I think it finishes fantastically. The last like shot sort of sums up the series in a whole for the character. But then the way it has like a, you know, post text sort of, you know, this person did this person did, and it's like, oh my God. And it's like, this is the crime rate this year, like 2022, what it is, and all this sort of shit's like, it's crazy to see. But yeah, I highly suggest watching it. It's definitely one of the best things I've watched this year. I wouldn't be surprised if this is up for some Emmys when we get around to that.
Awesome. Is it a limited series or is it coming back for a second season?
No, it's limited.
Okay. All right. So that's We Own This City on binge. I finished up watching The Offer on Paramount Plus. So this is the miniseries that tells the making of The Godfather, where Miles Teller plays Albert S. Ruddy, the producer of The Godfather, based on his recollection of the events, in which they had to enlist the mob to allow them to, one, film The Godfather, because apparently the Italian community was very offended by the actual novel because, you know, stereotypes and that kind of stuff. But then also because the mafia runs everything in New York. So to be able to shoot in New York, they need to get the mafia involved. I really enjoyed it. I think it is a really enjoyable miniseries, especially for people who enjoy like those behind the scenes kind of TV shows behind like Hollywood and the making of movies. It does go a little over the top at times and like a little bit cheesy and like a little bit too self-congratulatory, especially the last episode where it's like, hey, guess what? Godfather, massive success. Everybody loves it. We got Academy Awards. It's fantastic. I think Matthew Good plays head of Paramount, Bob Evans, who was like put a bunch of movies in through production through Paramount, produced Chinatown. He is fantastic as this like really over the top, like big personality. I think he's like the standout performer of this series. And I'd be very surprised if there isn't some heavy love. Juno Temple plays Albert Ruddy's assistant. She's fantastic in this as well. Yeah, just all across the board. Like all the actors they bring in to play like famous actors. I think the actor who plays Marlon Brando is really good. The actor who plays Al Pacino was fairly fantastic. Miles Teller is really good as well. It does get a little bit fast and loose with some of the facts. Like, there were several occasions after an episode where I just look up, did this really happen? Was this thing that's true? I think there's a scene where James Caan, like, beats up somebody in The Godfather. And apparently, like, as the way it was presented to the show, he beat him up for real. Like, he went, like, method. He went stiff, you know. But that wasn't necessarily the truth in real life. So, but yeah, I found it really interesting. I think I enjoyed who was it? Dan Fogler as Francis Ford Coppola. I think he does a good job, even though he is not Italian, and which is a big thing. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I recommend give it a shot. That's The Offer on Paramount Plus. Then I watched Fire Islands, a new film on Disney Plus, starring Joel Kim Booster, who wrote the script, and Bowen Yang and Conrad Ricamora, Margaret Cho. So this is a modernized version of Pride and Prejudice, in which a group of gay friends go to Fire Island, which is a real place off New Long Island's South Shore, in which, you know, they go to their lesbian friend's house and chill out for a week, going to different gay parties and that kind of stuff. They come across another group doing a very similar thing, but they're like very rich and like prim and proper, and like they look, whereas Joel Kim Booster's group is more diverse. The other group is not as much. You know, they're very ripped. They wear very little clothing and look very good in very little clothing. So yeah, it is, you know, an enjoyable thing. More than anything, I kind of wish I had watched Pride and Prejudice or read it recently, so I can understand like the correlations and that kind of stuff. I know that Joel Kim Booster plays the main girl, plays the Keira Knightley, and then another character plays Mr. Darcy. But yeah, just to see the ways it modernized it and that kind of stuff. So I might go back sometime in the near future and watch Pride and Prejudice. Probably who's Joe Wright version, which I just referenced. But yeah, I found it's a good time. It's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's that. Dylan, you watched a couple of different Louis Theroux documentaries. You watched Louis Theroux, Louis and the Nazis.
Yeah, this is a rewatch, and because I couldn't remember if I'd watched it, and then I started it and I watched it. But anyway, and then the other one I hadn't watched before. But the Louis and the Nazis one still holds up. I'd suggest watching that if you haven't seen it before, even though it's like well over 10 years old. But it's literally Louis Theroux. Oh, by the way, people who don't know Louis Theroux, like I feel like he's one of the most famous like journalists, journalist sort of people. Like I love all of his stuff. I think he's like really entertaining, like good. He always is able to get the right material out of people, and I don't know, maybe it's the British thing where he just come across as a complete twat this whole time. But Louis and the Nazis one, 2003, fucking hell. Yeah. So in this one he comes to California and like hangs out with a bunch of like open Nazis, like so the head of like a big Nazi group attends a bunch of Nazi rallies, hangs out with this mother who's like a full Nazi raising her kids to, you know, play skip rope over a SWAT sticker, and you know, like all sorts of crazy stuff. Lots of stuff where people are saying the N word completely horrifically, and Louis' face is exactly how yours probably looks while watching it, and whatever else. But it still holds up because this shit is still going to be happening, and it's way worse now in America. So, or it's more open now than it was when he filmed this in 2003, which is the interesting thing, you know, with the way the world's changed. It's not like this stuff has disappeared. In fact, these rallies have probably got increased and more prominent and bigger. So
I assume you watched this on the back of something else we're going to talk about soon, right?
No, I just watched this because I watched the other Louis one. I was looking for another Louis to watch because I watched the other Louis one before this one.
Okay.
So another Louis one.
Shooting Tiger, Shooting Joe Exotic. That's the title.
That's it. Yeah. So this one. So Louis Theroux did a doco about 10 years ago, or more than 10 years ago, just about like big cat owners and stuff. And Joe Exotic's one of the people in that. So that's when he met him. This was prior to the Netflix series. Louis Theroux's Shooting Joe Exotic came out last year. So this is like between seasons 1 and 2. This was before season 2 of Tiger King had come out. And the interesting thing about this is that Joe Exotic and a bunch of other big name people from the Netflix series don't appear in this, not because they don't want to, but because Netflix like sends, or not Netflix, but the production company that made the actual production company behind the doco series, whatever they're called, I can't remember. They like send Louis, and you get to see it in this. They're like, more or less like, hey, these people are signed to exclusive contracts for us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't have them on camera in your documentary and stuff, which does point out the fact that a lot of these people, including Joe Exotic, are obviously getting paid a lot of money to be on exclusivity contracts for a Netflix TV series, even though he's like a condemned criminal, which is a whole different subject. But, you do have Carol Baskin in this. Apparently she didn't sign an exclusive deal. So you do have Carol Baskin in this, but the show, this doco sort of just digs into the, I guess like, how does he go from being a crazy cat person and whatever else like that Louis had problems with. And you even get moments where Louis is like rewatching footage of himself that they never used in that original doco, talking to Joe Exotic, and then him just like reacting to it and, you know, saying like it was crazy how he said this then, and like goes back and Carol like lets him into the farm, the zoo, which is just like run down at the moment, and it's got all this graffiti over it from people saying like "fuck you, Carol Baskin," and all this like spray painted over it and whatever else, and like he gets to dig through some stuff there. I thought it was like interesting, especially like the Joe Exotic stuff. I've always like it's interesting, but you know, I've said since day one, I think that Netflix documentary sort of glamorizes a bit too much for me, and that's why I ended up only giving it a 7, and a lot of people like raved about it and stuff. But it's always interesting, and I definitely feel like this was a good look at a in between the fame, if you will, from a outsider's perspective, instead of those Netflix series which are very much running off the hype wheel now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess to finish off stuff before we move into the next segments, you watched Bo Burnham, the Inside Outside takes.
I did. It was very good. I mean, it's not as good as Inside, because that's more of a, you know, complete project or whatever. But there's lots of funny bits in this. Just getting to see the outtakes from like him, like as you were saying when you were talking about it, like having the camera show like 4 or 5 like times where he fucks a song up or whatever, and they slowly disappear. Like seeing stuff like that was cool. Bunch of the skits in this are quite funny. And I don't need to re-go because I think you touched on most of them, including the podcasting one, which I got to see again, which I still think is quite funny. But then also there's like ads in this that I did that are quite funny, as where it comes up like fake YouTube ads and
I mean, that's like the difference. Like it's because it's a YouTube only thing. He's catered it to YouTube.
Yeah. So there's actually no ads in this. So
he's not making any money off this.
He's not making any money off this because there's literally no actual ads, but there's 2 or 3 fake ads where it comes up with a box down the bottom saying you can skip this video or whatever, and he's like pretending to sell whatever random sponsored bullshit is happening, which is I found quite amusing. But yeah, I feel like if you like Inside, you'll get get a good kick out of this as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's made money off the extra merch he's been able to create because of this. He's made the Inside Slate stuff into merch. So yeah. Speaking of something that was on Netflix, let's just jump into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Dylan, you checked out the Chris Hemsworth Miles Teller film Spiderhead from the director of the biggest movie of the year, Joseph Krasinski.
Yes, Spiderhead. So I was looking forward to this. I was a little bit disappointed coming at the other end. So if you haven't seen the trailer, don't know about this one, the plot is basically that Chris Hemsworth's character is running this prison in which the people aren't really trapped. Well, they're on like an island, so they are trapped and they can't like leave the facility, but they get like a lot of freedom to move around, do what they want. They have a kitchen, you know, like they can do nearly as much as they want as like in the term of prisons. It's pretty liberating place. The trade-off for agreeing to come to this place is you have to do drug tests, and they're testing a whole bunch of different drugs. The effects range from different things. Every time they do a test,
they're testing drugs on the prisoners,
patients,
not making them take drug tests.
They're testing drugs on the prisoners. The prisoners know this. They've agreed to it before they came here. And even before they do, any time in the movie, before they do a test, they'll have the prisoner has to agree to have it injected again and all this sort of stuff. But, the ranges from finding like the rainbow. Oh my God, it's so pretty. Like just, like highly, I guess like hallucinogenic sort of stuff to, stuff that makes you want to have sex with the person right across from you, even though you had no interest like 2 seconds prior. Why, who, what, where any of these drugs are and what the use is of course part of the plot. I think the first like 2/3 of the movie is like really good. You have an interesting character in Miles Teller's character, like learning about why he's there, like why he agreed to do this, all this sort of stuff. And then you have Journey Smollett. Is that? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's correct, isn't it? Yeah. So she plays like the love interest in another character in this, and learning she's really good and getting to slowly tease out why and how she got there as well is super interesting. Chris Hemsworth was having an absolute blast in this, playing this sort of off. There's something off about him. Like the whole movie. Like what's this guy's story? And trying to wonder what's going to happen there. And you can tell Chris Hemsworth is having a ball playing this character either way. But in the last quarter or that last third, everything that the movie sort of set up as an interesting point of discussion about, I guess, like experimenting on prisoners and just prison in general and pharmaceuticals and all this sort of stuff just takes a sharp dive off the edge of the board, and the movie just becomes a very generic action movie in the last third. And I was just like, oh, well, that was a choice, I guess. I don't know why he like chose to do that for some weird reason, and it's not even like super exciting action. It's just sort of boring. I don't know why they did it at all, but Chris Hemsworth is fun to watch, but yeah, I was very disappointed with how this turned out.
All right, I checked out season 3 of The Umbrella Academy, released, of course, on Netflix. Following on from season 2, I guess if you don't want to know what happened at the end of season 2, jump ahead a little bit. But end of season 2, they jump back to their original timeline. At least they think it's their original timeline after going back to the past. But they've ended up in a timeline in which the Umbrella Academy was never created, and their father created the Sparrow Academy instead, getting different children to inhabit the Sparrow Academy, except for Ben, who in the Umbrella Academy's timeline died. So they're all dealing with this new Ben, who's very different to the Ben they knew, which raises a whole bunch of nature-nurture questions. And they're just trying to find their place in it. In the meantime, they need a place to stay, so they've stayed at a hotel, Obsidian, which may hold more secrets than they know. I found it really enjoyable. It's a more Umbrella Academy. I think the big thing about probably this season, and maybe it's a little forced, is they switched Vanya to becoming Victor, obviously with Elliot Page's transition. So in the first episode, he plays Vanya, and then, he transitions to becoming Victor in the second episode, and there's a couple of moments that like people, the family try to address it and that kind of stuff. It feels a little bit forced at times, but I don't know how else you would do it. So
I honestly was like, I hasn't watched this, but I was like, I don't know, just do it and just don't even make it a plot point.
Yeah, they could have just jumped timelines. So they switched over and it's something changed in history, and it's it was always Victor. But no, they address it, and it's I mean, it's fine, but yeah. I think it's very front heavy, where it's there's a lot of action beats, there's a lot of arguments and that kind of stuff, and then it slows down towards the second half of this season. I think it's only 9 episodes. But yeah, I found it really enjoyable. I of course binged it in a day and a half. So I clearly enjoyed it, and it leaves it in a very interesting point as well. So yeah, looking forward to even more Umbrella Academy. But yeah, that was a great, really enjoyable season, with some fun twists and turns, and like shout outs to Emmy Raver Lapman, who character goes through a arc this season, where she's of all of them, she's the one who's taken the most emotional damage so far. So that was really enjoyable. And of course, like, I'm a huge Klaus fan because, you know, Robert Sheehan's a lot of fun. And then Aidan Gallagher playing Five, the young boy. Old man stuck in a young boy's body. He's really enjoyable as well, so yeah. That's Dylan, you've been watching a few episodes of the new animated series Dead India. What's this one?
This one's it's just sort of fun. What's its full title? It's like something amusement park or Dead End and Paranormal Park.
I don't know why it says Dead India.
I don't know. It does have that on the poster though.
It's based on the graphic novel series called Dead India. So yeah, it's Dead End Paranormal Park.
There you go. So the first episode, like the setup premise for it is that you have I can't remember the character's name. Sorry, Barney. Yeah, Barney and Norma. So two, I don't know. I guess they're like 16 to 18. I'm guessing, maybe not 18, maybe around 16. They go to get jobs at this theme park. They don't know they're like applying together. Barney turns up with his pug, because takes that pug everywhere. Norma turns up with nothing, and then they sort of think they're going to be fighting over getting this job. Turns out they got trapped. They were secretly brought in by a bunch of demons, bloody hands kick side people or whatever, and they inject the demonic soul of some evilly god worshipping thing into the pug, and then the first episode they like work to get the pug back and save him from the evil creature, which I'm spoiling the first episode because it like sets up how the rest of the show works, because it's one of those shows. And then they manage to extract the demonic creature from the pug, but then a little bit of it's left, so now the pug can speak. By the time you go to episode 2 and for the rest of the season, you've now got a talking pug, and they also get offered jobs at the theme park by the creatures because they're like, oh, like, we're sorry, we kind of did that, our bad. Like, do you actually want to work here? And they're like, yeah, that sounds great for some reason. And then after the fact that each episode's just been, I think I've watched like 3 or 4 or something like that. Each one's just been like sort of fun antics at the amusement park. I know I'm speaking a lot about like demons and stuff like that, but it's not actually scary. It's silly. It's done in a very like silly comedic sort of way, which is good. There is like a heart to the show, which I'm also quite enjoying. So Norma, you've got dealing with like wanting to be this like big like grow up fast and get a job, and she's like dealing with her own sort of subtle family problems. And then you've got Barney, who's actually a trans person, and they're trying to stay away from their home because they're having issues there. Like they reveal, it's not like a big like, what would you call it, like trans closeting, or like using a trans reveal as like a big character moment for the sake of it. But like they in the first episode when he leaves like the house, it's like, oh, your nan's coming over today, and then, you know, says something like, well, can I like speak properly or something like that, and then the mum's like, no, you can't say these sorts of things when your nan's here. So it like hints at like sort of family problems and stuff. And once Barney gets the job, he is like sleeping at the amusement park, like wants to stay away from home because he's having problems there. So there's actually like a character stuff happening in the background, like which is quite interesting as well. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think it's like very easy to watch, like just sort of comfort sort of watch stuff, like not too deep, not too light either. Funny. I like the pug. The pug's sort of the standout, if I'm being completely honest. The talking pug is funny.
Pugsley.
Yeah, Pugsley is a great name for a pug. It's very funny. I enjoy the pug. So if you like pugs and if you like talking animals that are funny and cute, yeah, you'll get a kick out of this.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I thought it was an interesting premise, and hopefully I'll jump back into it in the future.
I feel like it's one of those things where like the first episode isn't really a good example of how the show works because the first episode is literally setting up how all the characters work for the rest of the show. So you sort of have to watch two, I feel. Yeah.
All right. I watched the documentary Halftime, which is a documentary that follows Jennifer Lopez from her 50th birthday to her performing at the Super Bowl in 2019, I want to say, off the top of my head. So it's set during that year in which she was... Hustlers had just come out. And there was the big awards campaign for Jennifer Lopez.
Should have been nominated.
She should have been nominated. And it's kind of looks at that whole process behind the scenes, as well as her preparing for the Super Bowl halftime show, which is itself a crazy endeavor, in which she was sharing the 13-minute runtime with Shakira. The first time, like, a duo had been announced as, headline doing the halftime show. So, like, they're like, hey, I guess we'll just have to split the time down the middle. So, like, she's like, normally they'd have 13 minutes to do halftime show. She only gets to work her set down to 6 minutes. And her trying to figure out what she wanted to do during her 6 minute, what she wants to say during that 6 minutes. I found it really interesting. And, like, obviously, Jennifer Lopez and, like, has her history, obviously, breaking out in the movie Celine and then kind of being a paparazzi focus due to her many relationships and her old body issue things. Lots of different things brought up. But yeah, the whole Hustlers, like, thing and, like, how she reacted to, like, everybody telling her she was going to get nominated. And, this will be the moment that proves, like, she's not the joke that a lot of people think she is. And then, it not panning out. You can understand why she would feel like she was kind of robbed. Given the way that everybody else was talking about it. Her claiming other awards as well from other critics societies and that kind of stuff, yeah. And also, like, not necessarily, like, they specifically have her going to the Golden Globes when she's nominated there. Like, she talks about how really it's like the award is kind of for her, but it's also for her team who have put so much time and effort into her over the many years that she's worked with him and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I found it really interesting. So yeah, I would recommend checking out that documentary on Netflix, Halftime. Right. So Dylan, we both watched a new documentary series on Netflix. What's it called again?
Web of
Make Believe. Death Lies on the Internet. So Dylan, what's the series about?
Each episode, well, the finale is a two-parter, but each episode focuses on a different story of the dark side of the web, I guess. Like the first one, it's like, so the first one's swatting, second one is, I can't remember, third one's the Nazi, like, sort of right alt-wing, getting sucked into that world and stuff like that. Fourth one is to do with these girls who are actually sort of blackmailed by a fuckhead sex pest. And then the finale is about the Stingray, which is like this, I guess, like police tech overuse. Like, so it's like it's like watching Black Mirror, but like true stories, docos. I guess it's like the dark side of technology. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it really interesting. Like, obviously, you've got that. Yeah. So the second one is focused on this political staffer in 2016 who's built this conspiracy theory around him. His murder is a big conspiracy theory.
Oh, that's right. That one. Yep.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing was, like, certain ones of these, I, like, actually remember them being covered. Like, that conspiracy theory, like, that was, like, something that kept being brought up. And, like, because obviously it's on the back of, like, it's part of that election leading up to the 2016 election. But the swatter one, I remember as a story that I'd heard before about this guy swatting somebody, but it ends up he sent them to the wrong address.
I'm pretty sure I remember bringing up an Arcade Couch when about this.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. That's very messed up. So yeah, delving deep into these kind of stories and, like, how shitty they are and how, like, really bad. I think probably the standout episode is that I'm Not a Nazi one, which delves deeply into like how this woman got involved in into Nazism. I mean, and how like because she just wanted to be loved, she like kind of went along with all this stuff that she believed to be wrong, but you know.
Well, it's kind of like Nazism plus also like abusive boyfriend.
It's like Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome, yeah.
It's like that kind of stuff. It's a very fascinating watch, and like even her like
they do cover
like,
the whole sort of similar to, I feel they also tackled it in the QAnon series where it's like, hey, if you're like if you watch like one right-wing YouTube video, oh, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. All of a sudden you're like, man, these are conspiracy theories. They like sounding ultra like pop, you know, like, and yeah, so similar sort of stuff there.
Yeah. And like even like how difficult it was for her to go like look back and like say what her name was like in these Discord communities and like
the forum or whatever.
And how like how involved she was in like the Charlottesville like riots and that kind of stuff. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, pretty interesting watch. I thought they were very like entertaining and like very
I think like they're all each, as much as I couldn't remember that Murder in DC one, I still feel like it wasn't like bad. Even like the finale, the 2, I thought that was super interesting. Like just learning about this thing, the stingray, which the cops used to.
Didn't you see it in that movie, Hunt for the Wilder People? Like they've got a stingray.
Yeah, they do have a stingray. That's true. But like them covering the technology behind it and stuff like that. And I also think the dude who's in this, so he's like a criminal who's filing like dead people's like tax returns and stuff. That's like sort of the git that he's using to make money. But this dude is like ultra smart, and I couldn't help but like be like, "Fuck, dude, you are like."
Way ahead.
You are like, yeah, I was like, hats off. And there's even a part there, I think, where the cops like got to respect this dude, like, you know, like to a degree, like when he's like covering how he gets out of something. But yeah, no, it was really good.
All right, Dylan, you've finally got around to watching season 5 of Big Mouth.
Yeah, I did. Well, I should say it like that. Surely it only came out like, I don't know, earlier this year, right? No, am I insane? Yeah, it was good. It was more Big Mouth,
year, right?
Oh, fuck if I know. The spin-off came out this year, right? I haven't watched that. Whatever that's called. Yeah, I might get there. Yeah, it was good. Big Mouth season 5 is good. It's more Big Mouth. I don't know what else is to say at this point. Like, if you like Big Mouth, you'll enjoy watching more Big Mouth. I think the standout to me this season, if I had to pick like one storyline, it would have been Andrew and I can't remember the other character. Like their like weird romance thing that happens. Jason? No. Yeah? No.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh no, the rich kid who decides he's in love with the weird like Jay or whatever who likes fucking his pillow. That sort of storyline.
It's Jay and trying to look at the list of characters.
It's too many.
There's too many.
There's too many characters in this fucking show. It's ridiculous.
It is.
But yeah, what else was this season mostly deals with anger, I guess, and jealousy, like which I always think is good that each season seems to have a running sort of theme, even though they have like one-off episodes and stuff like that. But having this season focus on Nick and who was it? Missy? No,
Missy. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick and Missy both sort of having different anger / jealousy things happen to them, and what they do and how they deal with it and stuff like that. So yeah, from start to finish, I feel like it was very good. The Christmas episode was also something very weird, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah. So Matthew was the boy.
Matthew, yeah. So him and Jay relationship was quite interesting.
How about that season finale where they go into human resources, a certain live action pet character shows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't as weird because I'm like at this stage, what's weird in the show? But I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I recommend checking out Human Resources. I said like it's not the same as Big Mouth, but then I watched the rest of the season and like there's one episode that I think still one of the top episodes I watched on television this year.
Because the thing is with like Big Mouth, I feel like from the outset, and I've said this a million times, is like it is a very potty mouth show, but it still like deep down has like it's
heart.
Has something to say and it has heart, and yeah, that's the thing. Like the secret is that it hits for people who enjoy South Park humor, but want something of a bit more substance deep down. And that's what I feel like Big Mouth has.
Yeah. All right. Then you've watched a few of the other Netflix comedy specials. You watched Pete Davidson Presents The Best Friends.
Yeah, so Pete Davidson, like, it's funny. I don't know how many things of these filmed. Are they all out now? I don't know. They were all one night, or what was the? Because they're all from this.
It was like a comedy festival, like in the way a music festival is. They just shot, I assume, a bunch of stuff.
Or they were on at the same time, and people could attend it.
Yeah, I think it was like a music festival.
Yeah, so Pete Davidson one is similar to. Well, all of these are similar to the one I talked about last week, which was the Bill Burr one. Well, last episode, not last week, but so they're all similar in which someone hosts them and brings out a bunch of their favorite or best friend comedians. So Pete Davidson one, I like the standout to me, or the stuff I remember the most from this is just Pete Davidson coming out at the start and being like, "So how's your year been?" Like it's because he's had a weird year with Kanye West, obviously making music videos and like he doesn't go deep into talking about all that stuff, but he doesn't also shy away from not joking about Kanye and stuff like that. So if you want to hear him like have a bit of a clap back at Kanye, he does indeed do that. I can't remember, like there's no one like super standout, I think, from his shows. Like they were all like pretty fine, like no standout jokes or anything like that. His big guest for this one is Machine Gun Kelly, comes out and like does a performance at the end. Pete Davidson like joins in as well as like the side gig guy or whatever, I guess. Apparently they've known each other since they were kids or something, which I did not know, but there's your side bit.
Seems right.
Yeah.
Sounds believable.
Yeah, does it? I don't think it was a bit. I think it was like a, yeah.
All right. Then you also watched Amy Schumer Presents Parental Advisory.
Yeah, so the theme for this Amy Schumer one was all the jokes and stuff are either about people talking about now being parents and like how they're going to like for the kids, or like their parents. So like everything was sort of themed, which I sort of felt like helped. There was like a standout I'd never seen. I can't remember their name. Anyway, one of the comedians I'd never seen before was trans woman who, and I'm pointing this out because she makes it part of her joke, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I'm saying it because it was brought up in a bit. I thought she was quite funny, and the way she like comes, like says some things, and then be like, "Because you didn't know, so I'm trans," and like makes all these like. She was sort of the standout from this. And then also I would say Lil Ray Howery is in this. I also thought he was quite. He's usually quite funny. I enjoy him. Amy Schumer was fine. I'm not an Amy Schumer hater. I'm not like a fan either. I'm just not like I'm not. I've never jumped aboard the let's hate Amy Schumer because the internet says she's the worst comedian ever. Like, I don't think she's great. I don't think she's terrible. Like, she's fine. Her like opening bit, like her opening stand up was fine. So yeah.
Or you bring up Amy Schumer. What the Hollywood Reporter like Emmy roundtables are going around at the moment, and she's part of the comedy roundtable. I think that's an interesting watch, and she kind of discusses during that like the transition from her trying to be in the boys' club and that kind of humor to more of what she's doing now. So I think those are fascinating watches. I would recommend that. So yeah. And then you watched
the last one was Stand Out, LGBTQ plus celebration. This was my favorite of the bunch. I thought this was very funny. Billy Eichner hosts it. I love Billy Eichner. I'm really looking forward to that movie, which we watched the trailer for. Bros, yeah. I rewatched, that new trailer came out recently or whatever. I watched that. Still looking forward to it. Quite funny. So this has a bunch of like, so Wanda Sykes is in this. Tig No, what's her fucking last name? I can never remember how to pronounce it. Notaro? Is it? Yeah, Tig Notaro, which I feel like if you've watched any like comedy stand-up thing for like the last 20 years, you've probably seen Tig at some point in any of that sort of stuff. And then Eddie Izzard's also here. So like there's a few like big names, and then there was a couple of people I'd never seen before as well spread throughout this. But I feel like there was nothing like so stand out. I feel like Eddie Izzard was probably the best because Eddie Izzard's sort of one of the greatest, I think, stand-up comedians of all time. Like they are definitely one of the most prominent stand-up comedians. Also, as far as like LGBTQ plus sort of stuff goes, I think Eddie like transition from, hey, I'm the big boy. He was like, when Eddie was like big, I feel like Eddie fell into the boys club side of comedians, and then now this like transition into a non-binary position, I feel like is sort of like opened the gates for a lot of people, because Eddie was like boys club, I feel. So but yeah, it was very, very good. Billy Eichner's great. That was probably my favorite of the three, at least from this session. None of them are like the best stand-up specials I've ever watched, but yeah, they're fine.
Well, yeah, but they're just like a showcase, all of them.
Yeah, they're just a showcase, which is fine, because then I'm like, oh, I've never seen this person before, they were good, or this person, it's fine. It's like watching the Melbourne Comedy Festival every year. You're usually like
opening
when that was a thing that used to happen. Remember that? But you'd watch that and be like, yeah, because it's only ever like 5 minutes. People get 5 minute sets, so you're like, that was great, that was okay. You remember that person for next time. You remember that person,
All right. That's everything that we've watched. Let's move into some film news, and I wanted to bring up something that's kind of been discussed a lot recently. Obviously, Ezra Miller has been constantly in the headlines due to his various controversies, whether it's beating people up in Hawaii, assaulting people in Hawaii, verbally assaulting people in Hawaii, abducting children, all kinds of crazy stuff. What should Warner Brothers do with The Flash? So this is one of their tentpole movies, starring. It's pretty much all shot. They're currently just doing, special effects work. Starring Michael Keaton, coming back as Batman for the first time. Features Ezra Miller, obviously the title character. But can Warner Brothers release this movie as is?
Kevin Spacey it. And by that, I mean, what was that movie where they digitally put... I can't remember.
I don't know, but Christopher Plummer replaced him.
Christopher Plummer replaced him
in the Ridley Scott movie.
Yep.
All the Money in the World?
Yep. That's
something like that? Yep.
Do that.
I mean, they have to, right?
Yeah. I honestly don't feel like they can release this. And if they do, the amount of money they will lose by people's disinterest, I swear cannot make up for the amount of money it would cost for them to fix this, especially in the long run. If you want this first film to be successful and lead into sequels, you got to think about the long-term costs and loss, and that weigh up these sorts of things. And yeah, I think I really don't feel like we've shot it. I know this is bad, but whatever, we'll just put it out. I don't feel like you can. I feel like at this point, there's Ezra Miller is fucking. I don't know.
I don't think anybody is on board with
no.
Some of these, if there's a sexual allegation, there'll be a bunch of people who support them, will be on side with them, support them through thick and thin, but I don't think anybody is Ezra Miller, they have my support.
The funny thing, well, not funny, but the thing is, this came up nearly a year ago. The first time it was Ezra Miller punches someone at a club, or something was whoa, that seems so tame now.
Yeah.
But even then, people are I don't know what they're gonna do. This is the Flash. Need to get shit together, But yeah, Ezra Miller's
he's
off their face.
They've definitely put themselves in a massive hole by not making a decision sooner. I mean, Warner Brothers isn't exactly having the best record at the moment with them. They've said they're gonna cut Amber Heard out of the next Aquaman.
Did they officially
movie.
say that?
I believe so. That's what I read somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if there's.
I'm gonna put a no on that. I'm gonna say that was I'm saying that's conjecture.
Okay.
Because I've never seen any official word on that, and there's no reason to cut Amber Heard from. If you're oh yeah, fucking I hate Amber Heard, fine. But as far as what went down with Amber Heard, she's not found guilty of any crimes or anything.
She's guilty of being a shitty person.
Yeah, in the scheme of things compared to what Ezra Miller's got going on, Ezra Miller's.
I mean, the other thing is, how do you promote that movie if Ezra Miller?
You can't.
Because everybody who goes out to promote the movie will ask about Ezra Miller and their thoughts on that. Yeah, I think the sooner they make a call on this, the better, because I mean, the other option is they just cut their losses and put it on like HBO Max or whatever, and like, hey, here's a Flash movie.
That's going to be such a waste because people were really looking forward to this because of the Michael Keaton thing and
Flash.
Night
It seems like it's a slight reboot with obviously the new Supergirl. Yeah, it's crazy that they haven't made a decision, especially given there's been like 6 instances in the last, I don't know, however many weeks. I mean, everybody keeps bringing up the Will Smith comparison where he did one thing at the Oscars and Ezra Miller's done like 20 different things since.
Yeah, which is fair. People are like, Will Smith slapped someone. I'm not saying it's like good, but like
the difference is Ezra Miller's film is in the can.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Will Smith isn't getting
cancelled.
future jobs. He's not getting future jobs. But if he had a movie that was filmed and is being released, that would still probably get released. But yeah, it's a crazy situation. Hopefully they make a decision soon. I mean, Christopher Plummer, he won an Oscar. Oh, no, he got Oscar nominated for coming in. So, you know, maybe someone will get Oscar nominated for The Flash. Probably not. Very unlikely. Yeah. I guess it's just the cost of reshoots that is what would be worrying them. And whether they can recoup that money. Especially with stuff like, I think someone brought up Solo was obviously a big one that got massive reshoots when the directors like left halfway through production and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, but whose fault was that?
That's true. So yeah, hopefully we find out some news about this soon. So Dylan, last episode we brought up the fact that Joker 2 was in the works. Joker sequel was in the works. We've found some more crazy news about this since it broke pretty much the day the last episode went out. Lady Gaga is in talks to play Harley Quinn in Todd Phillips' musical sequel to Joker. Well, if this isn't the weirdest bit of news, the Hollywood Reporter announced that none other than Lady Gaga is in talks to star in Todd Phillips' Joker sequel. And the sequel will be a musical. Lady Gaga showed interest in the role. Is also something that makes sense when you take a step back. Phillips produced A Star Is Born, which garnered an Oscar nomination for Best Actress and a win for Best Song. Dylan, Joker musical? What?
No. Where is the crossover audience between people who love the first Joker and musicals?
Probably not high.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought.
I mean, not just, you know, you use a little bit of sugar to get the medicine down, right?
I don't know why.
Sugar being Joker and the medicine being musicals, or the sugar being musicals and the medicine being Joker, depending on your point of view.
Last episode I said I don't want a Joker sequel. My thoughts have not changed.
I don't necessarily want it, but I want to see it. The craziness of the situation. Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, I made a joke like she's going to be talking like Harley Quinn for the next 12 months, but while they're filming it. So, but yeah, this is a peculiar option to go. What movie do you think they're going to rip off to make this musical sequel?
Fucking Streets of Fire.
Yeah. I guess, stay tuned till we find out more news about this project, which is next level crazy. I'm excited about it. All right. HBO has entered into early development on its first sequel to its blockbuster fantasy drama, Game of Thrones, a live-action spin-off series centered on the fan-favorite character, Jon Snow. Kit Harington is attached to reprise a role should a series move forward. The actor was twice nominated for an Emmy for his portrayal of the action hero who struggles to uphold his family's noble value in a brutal world. The 8th and final season, Jon discovered his true name was Aegon Targaryen. The development signals an intriguing new direction in HBO's handling of author George R.R. Martin's fantasy universe, a move not unlike Disney Plus's management of Star Wars and Marvel brands. How do we feel about a potential Jon Snow spin-off?
I'm not against it. I mean, he's the most popular character from Game of Thrones for sure. Even as someone who didn't love that last season, it was still like highly viewed, and it's always sort of the whole the negative side is definitely the more vocal side. So I don't know if that's really a thing. I don't know where and what and how it's set and like what they're doing. It would be post Game of Thrones, obviously. But
yeah, so it'd be set after the last season.
Yeah, it's in the wilds or whatever they call it. It's north of the wall.
Yeah, he's going north of the wall.
Yeah. So there's like definitely they've sort of got an open book there, which is interesting, but you are getting away from potentially what a lot of people love about Game of Thrones, which is more the houses and like everything on that we actually say, because once you get into that side, you are just in the wild. Like he's just with the wildlings. He's just there's no more White Walkers out there, so which is good and bad. Like you have a lot of. You can invent new villain. You can explore the stuff. So, yeah, I feel like it's a potentially good, nearly plain book to start a series there and do some interesting stuff. So, yeah, I'm not against it, to be completely honest.
Yeah, this makes sense. I'm surprised it hasn't come up earlier. Why wouldn't you? Like Jon Snow, arguably the most popular character of the series. Having their own focused show or mini-series, much in the way Obi-Wan currently had a mini-series. You have a self-contained story set above the north. You have what's-his-face, his old Giantsbane friend. He survived, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, Tormund.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, Tormund. Yeah.
Them having adventures north of the wall with his direwolf. Whatever his name was.
Yeah, I don't know the direwolf, sorry.
This is not promising, but yeah.
I remember Tormund. That's pretty good, so.
Yeah, that was very impressive. Yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun and an interesting thing to explore.
I'm just surprised he wants to do it, like.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like, after 8 seasons, do you want to come back and do a show about the same character?
Not only that he wants to do it, but he's the head, like, basically the leading force behind it. Not that someone went to him, but that he was like...
they went to...
Well, apparently he went to George R.R. Martin and was like, bro, what's Jon Snow up to now? What am I doing, George? George, I know you're finishing your book, George, but what am I doing? Like, apparently he was the like one of or the leading force behind the series getting pushed.
I guess that maybe makes sense because I guess like after a long running show like that, I would argue none of the careers of the main cast outside of Peter Dinklage have like blown up post Game of Thrones.
He was in
They're all just seen as those characters. Unless you're in a Marvel... Well, he's barely in a Marvel movie. He'll probably barely be in another Marvel movie soon. So why wouldn't you go back and like... Especially to be the lead and not like sharing... Being part of an ensemble, like being the main character. And he's probably get... I would assume he'd get some sort of executive producer credit and that kind of stuff as well. Makes a lot of sense. How do we feel about HBO treating this like... I like those other properties over at Disney. Treating Game of Thrones as a franchise.
Perfectly fine. It's a massive universe with a lot of lore and time. Like, there's no reason to not expand on this. Not only from a monetary point of view to do spin-offs and whatever else, but just from a... there's the thing. Like, you could watch a show... where you're like, they announce a sequel, you're like, why? Like, especially if it's like some random show set in New York City today, you're like, why do we need more of these characters? Like, why do we, like, you know what I mean? But when it's very different, when it's a Star Wars, when it's a Game of Thrones, like these massive universes with a lot of potential to be explored, where there's no reason not to do more from a creative point of view, let alone from a business point of view. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think every single project's going to be for every single person, but that's fine. That's how these things work. Obviously, we've got House of the Dragon coming later this year. Can we announce here?
Yeah, I mean,
in the middle of this podcast?
I don't care.
That maybe somebody's listening to. We're coming back with South of King's Landing, a Game of Thrones podcast. So we'll be covering weekly episode discussions of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
Yep.
So look forward to that in August, I want to say, off the top of my head.
It's either late, like the last week of August or something like that, yeah.
Just subscribe. Go back and listen to those old episodes where...
Yeah, you can subscribe now. I mean, you can
subscribe. Listen to our Season 8 discussions in which I defend the show and Dylan and Nick berate me. All right. So, yeah. I guess they'll give us more Game of Thrones until people stop watching Game of Thrones. Which makes sense. So we've got our first bit of news about Furiosa. Obviously started filming here in Australia. Anya Taylor-Joy posting a picture on her Instagram of gum trees. So, very Australian. But the big piece of news was a synopsis that was released via Warner Brothers, which reads, "As the world fell, a young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers and falls into the hands of a great biker horde led by warlord Dementus. Sweeping through the wastelands, they come across a citadel presided over by Immortan Joe. While the two tyrants war for dominance, Furiosa must survive many trials as she puts together the means to find her way home." Of course, Anya Taylor-Joy is playing Furiosa in this prequel to Fury Road, and I'm guessing Chris Hemsworth will be playing that warlord.
That's what I'm presuming. I'm presuming he's playing the warlord. Because I don't know where else he would fit.
Especially if he's a leading character.
Yeah, as a leading character, yeah. You don't want him playing Immortan Joe. I feel like Immortan Joe is going to be in it at least, and they'll just have someone else play him.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's another actor attached, but I can't find it very quickly.
They've got the one of the sons, Australian actor whose name I can't remember. I know he's been cast, so they've got the two because he has the few sons in Fury Road, but one of them, the really big buff one, I've seen him. He's already in it. It's that dude. Tom
Burke.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So rounding out the main cast, Tom Burke is taking over the role of Immortan Joe. Hugh Keays-Byrne played the villain in
passed away
Fury
a couple
Road.
Years ago.
Yeah, passed away.
Would have been a bit too old to play a young version anyway.
Yeah. So how excited does this whet your appetite for Furiosa?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing, Mad Max Fury Road, fantastic movie. Love it. One of the all-time great action movies. Is Max really the main character of that movie? Not really. He's there. It's like Max is... He's really just along for the ride, trying to survive in that movie. And the Furiosa is the lead character. Well, all the girls are the lead characters, really. All of them are the one where the story lies in that film. So, yeah, doing a prequel to her has always made a lot of sense. I never actually thought we would get it, because to the point, I'm like, man, George Miller's getting old. I don't know how he directed Fury Road at 70 old or however old he was. And yeah, so... I'm keen. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is going to make a great Furiosa. I'm keen to see. I don't know. This movie sounds like it has a lot of plot. I don't know if there is a script or if it's just a bunch of storyboards like Fury Road was. But I'm very keen either way.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is good news. It makes sense, and this story makes sense as to why this was potentially told instead of a sequel. And we could still get a sequel to Fury Road down the road.
Yeah, I don't actually need another Mad Max. I'm happy to have
we could
one,
get
but...
Charlize Theron back as Furiosa is what I'm saying down the road.
Oh yeah.
We don't. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe we want an older Furiosa down the road.
Get to find out how she lost her arm.
That's true. I guess that people are mentioning is she going to cut her hair for the role and that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I don't think she necessarily needs to have no hair. They could say that's a thing that happened after or happened in the movie, much like the losing of the armor, and they could portray the character a lot more feminine, I guess would be the easier way to sort of, and then she grows into the grizzled Furiosa that we meet in Fury Road throughout this film would be a direction they could go.
Yeah, absolutely. We now know what the Invisible Man director Lee Winnell's next project could be. Apparently he's eyeing Green Hornet and Kato at Universal. Execs have been meeting with directors over the last couple of weeks, but insiders close to the meetings felt as soon as Winnell threw his name in the mix, he had the edge, as the studio wanted to get back in the business with him after he delivered Invisible Man to critical and box office acclaim. The studio got a Green Hornet and Kato suit from David Culp earlier this year. They are high on, and once the deal closes, the film should be fast-tracked. Of course, we got the... what was it? So, Green Hornet was one of the early radio's most popular adventure shows before being turned into a 1940s movie serial and a 1966 TV series that introduced Bruce Lee to the US. Classic story focuses on Britt Reed, owner and publisher of the Daily Sentinel, armed with knowledge from his sources, cool weapons, and a supercar called Black Beauty, and teamed with his trusty aide Kato, Reed becomes the Green Hornet, a vigilante crime fighter wanted by the police and feared by the criminal world. The most recent movie version of the Green Hornet was produced by Sony in 2011 and starred Seth Rogen, Cameron Diaz, and Jay Chow. While that one mixed in a lot of laughs along with fun action, sources say by going with Winnell's direction, viewers can expect a more serious action thriller that would work towards his strengths. Dylan, do we need a Green Hornet and Kato movie?
I'm not against it. I mean, I think there's potential to make a good Green Hornet movie if you treat it like super serious. So, like not fun superhero, but like fucked up dark superhero. And if that's what they're wanting to go for, then I'm all about that shit. I also think like if I picture Green Hornet or Kato fight scenes being filmed similar to fight seen in Upgrade with similar camera work to that, I'm all about that shit. So, yes, please.
Well, yeah, that was my follow-up question. Would you watch one made by Lee Winnell? And I'm assuming the answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is definitely yes. Yeah.
I enjoy the 2011 Green Hornet movie. I think
you're wrong.
I think it's got a fun style. I think they've got a fun take where, Seth Rogen is bad, useless.
Who's the bad guy? John Malkovich, isn't it?
It's Glorious Bastards.
Yeah, that guy. Sorry, that's who I meant to say. I didn't say his name though. But Christoph Waltz. Sorry.
Christoph Waltz, yes.
Yes, not John Malkovich. Fucking hell, I'm going to say Christoph Waltz is that guy. Yeah.
Who's the director? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
That's the thing that's annoying.
It's not a nobody. It's a somebody, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's French.
Yeah, it's a European director.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this up before I can continue. Michel Gondry.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of style, but yeah, I think a Lee Winnell version would be a really interesting take. It's hard because obviously it's a very pulpy precursor to a lot of superhero movies, I guess. That's kind of difficult to do nowadays, but yeah, if you get him doing...
But I feel like the subject matter can be taken very serious. Like,
yeah. There's potential there, so...
Yeah.
And as long as they get, like, a cool martial artist as Kato, that'll be key.
Yeah. I would want someone younger, sort of an unknown potential. It's where I'd go. Similar, because then you're really honoring Bruce Lee if you get, like, an unknown, I feel.
You don't want your boy, like, someone like your boy?
No. I want a new unknown. Use it to introduce a new star.
Somebody, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Final news story for this week. Guy Ritchie is set to direct another live-action adaptation of one of Disney's classic films. This time, he's directing Hercules. After watching his live-action transfer of Disney's animated Aladdin become his first film to crack $1 billion gross mark, Guy Ritchie is back in the business with the studio, this time overseeing a live-action film based on Disney's animated film Hercules. All the other information is very much... the studio is in the process of hiring writers after Dave Callahan wrote a first draft. So very much early in developments. Obviously, Hercules has been a project that people have wanted for whatever reason. Obviously, because, Hercules is very popular. But Dylan, you thought when I brought this up the other day that this was like a joke and you didn't believe it was a real thing.
Yeah, who would? No, Hercules movie just sounds weird, but I guess yeah, like it makes sense.
A Hercules movie based on
Disney's
the animated.
Yeah, I can't really picture it. I've been trying to picture it, but can't. I guess they're just gonna remake it, or they're gonna live action everything. So like, I don't know why I shouldn't have expected if like we're about to get frickin' Pinocchio and whatever. Like everything's happening. So, I I don't hate it under Guy Ritchie if I had to like have a certain director do it. I guess it's like I could picture, I guess, his style working for the mix of action comedy stuff that Hercules would lean more towards. So, like, as much as I'm like Hercules is a weird thing to imagine in live action, but like I feel like he's not a bad director for it. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it just seems weird, a weird choice. Of all the properties, this one, because it's been adapted so many times and it's obviously based on Greek myth and like everybody's got their own version of a Hercules. I mean, there's even rumors that there's going to be a Hercules showing up in the MCU in the near future.
I got bets Hercules is in Thor.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if those have been like leaks or they're just rumors.
Are there leaks?
I don't know.
Okay, I haven't seen anything, but I would. I mean, look, you guys daddy in it, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's why. But yeah, so to help, obviously they're very early in developments. They haven't got like proper scripts down, but I thought
decided to write the script.
Okay, at Dylan at Explosion Network, if you would like Dylan to write the script for Hercules.
I'll do it.
All right, but I thought this would be a good point to do this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
Oh, okay.
And this week's top 3 is top 3 casting recommendations for the live action Hercules. So, you know, I don't necessarily want Hercules himself, but, you know, the entire cast of characters. You know,
guess what?
Anybody. What? You just did 3 recommendations for Hercules, right?
No, I've done 3 recommendations for the main 3 characters.
Okay.
Which includes Hercules.
One of each?
One for each, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. What is your third?
Yeah. Well, I've gone in cast order, so like Hercules is number 1. So.
Okay.
Number 3, really easy. Phil, Danny DeVito.
Dylan, I did not do them in cast order. I just did them in, you know, my number 1, Danny DeVito was Phil. Has to be.
Has to be. Like how do you recast when he's still alive? Like that's disgraceful if you do.
And still acting. And still being very funny.
Still being very funny, yeah. Come on. That seems like that one writes itself.
That makes the most sense. I know you want to like distinguish yourself away from like that from that character and from the animated version, but you know, that's a home run. They'll get butts in seats.
Exactly.
You know. So yeah. That's my number 1 pick from my casting recommendations. So Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is for the character of Meg, and I've picked Alexa Demie, who is most prominently known from Euphoria. She's also in what the fuck else is she in? Mid-90s, the movie Mainstream, Waves. There you go. I feel like she could play the smart ass, I guess, sort of. What would you call her? Like Meg, sort of characterize it like a tough. I don't know, tough, sexy. That's the thing. Like Meg
yeah,
is
she's like a kind of like a femme fatale, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like she could play that. And I was making sure. So between her and my Hercules pick in a minute, I was definitely looking for younger people. I'm not looking to cast fucking, you know, like I feel like people are going to fan cast this and pick like, who's Manganiello or whatever, or you know, from like anyone from a Magic Mike movie, right? Any one of those are too old for Hercules. IMO.
Yep. Okay.
So there's my Meg pick.
I've also got a big pick, so I'll put that in here. My Meg pick is Anya Chalotra, who people would know from her role as Yennefer in The Witcher. I think, you know, they are similar-esque roles. Maybe she's not as much of a smartass in The Witcher as she is, as Meg is in Hercules. But I then think she could pull off, you know, being a bit a smartass. And, I mean, similar-esque looks and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think that's a good choice. But Dylan, who was your number 1 pick? And I'm guessing you picked for Hercules.
My pick for Hercules. This is really hard, and I knew so the other 2 I could actually like. Danny DeVito was easy, and then I actually like the Meg pick. I was pretty straight. I had 2 people I thought of straight away. So, but trying to think of Hercules, I was like looking around. I came up with 3 people, and then I ended up going with someone who maybe is like recency biasy, like because something I've watched like within the last like month or so. But I've gone with Glenn Powell, who most recently was in Powell, or how we say his name, most recently in Top Gun Maverick, and sort of one of the standout actors in that, I think. So he's born in 1988. So as far as my age ruling goes, he's fine. I feel like he's within a suitable age. To put in perspective, Alexa Demi's born 1990. So there was only 2 years. I feel like that's totally fine. He is in that movie. I feel like shows a lot of character and personality, like smugness and stuff like that. But I also, like, I've seen him in other stuff before. Like, I know he's not like super famous or anything, but like he's also in what the fuck's that movie called? Everybody Wants Some.
Everybody
right?
Wants Some. Yeah.
Like that's the only other thing I really know him from. He is and has a lot of everything I've seen him in personality, be that like smuggy, cocky, whatever else. I could totally see him like playing Hercules and being able to do the naivety up to the strong, powerful, up to like he can look a bit like he could bulk up a little bit. Although I do hope if they do a Hercules movie, it's like you just have someone who's naturally like, don't overdo it. Like I feel like that's my thing. Like I know they want to look godly, but you know, like he could, like he already looks good. Like he's not like a, you know, overweight dude, obviously, but like he could bulk up more. So I wasn't trying to think of like a bodybuilder. I wasn't like casting for a body. Like,
not necessarily ripped like he is in Top Gun.
No, yeah, but like it's fine. So I feel like he's got the character traits to be able to play both ends of the Hercules, which at times is very timid and when he's younger and, you know, scared and whatever else. And then by the end of the movie where he's, you know, more, not cocky, but definitely,
got more bravado.
Yeah.
Bravado.
Stuff like that. So that's my Hercules pick. Yeah.
I made the conscious decision to not pick a Hercules because
it was hard, man.
It is hard. 2, because I reckon they should probably cast an unknown, and probably somebody Greek. I feel like that especially should be something to try to do. But that I didn't pick. My pick is for somebody for Hades, and that person, Ben Mendelsohn. I mean, he's played close to this role a billion times, but I don't think he's done that shouty, angry, like version. Someone who can be charismatic and like really nice at one point and then like turn it on and like be super god of hell, you know, angry, fiery type of personality. I think he would be a good fit. But you know, I'm sure there's like a bunch of people who could do that role. But yeah, Ben Mendelsohn is the person who came to mind. You know, let him keep his Australian accent, you know, because, you know, he's from down under. The underworld. No, okay. Alright. Let us know on Twitter what your top 3 for who do you want in the Hercules movies by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. But first, let's round out this episode of What Do You Want to Watch with some thumbs for trailers. Alright. Interesting week this week. It was a bit hard to scrape up some trailers. And there seems to be a lot of
rom-coms,
similarities in this week's.
Yep.
Not a lot of standout, like, big blockbuster trailers. But first up, we've got Persuasion, directed by Carrie Cracknell, starring Dakota Johnson, Cosmo Jarvis, Nikki Amuka Bird, Richard E. Grant, and Henry Golding. When Frederick Wentworth, the one who got away, crashes back into Anne Elliott's life, she must choose between putting the past behind her or listening to her heart when it comes to second chances. Dylan, what did you think of this trailer for the Jane Austen adaptation?
I thought it looked really good. I feel like the more recent adaptations of Jane Austen sort of novels and stuff where they're not going, they're sort of fantastical, you know, like they're not doing the like make it ultra serious period piece or, you know, stick to 100% accuracy or whatever. Just make it about the core like characters and like what's behind the the romance and the core story, but more so the period piece accuracies and stuff, and not even take it super serious. Like have a more lighthearted tone, have it be a bit more fun, because it's from the people who made Emma or whatever they said, 9 out of 6 producers or whatever, sort of thing. And Emma's like a good example of does lightheartedness and stuff like that. And then you also have on like Apple TV, you've got Dickinson, which is again like another like period piece that doesn't take itself serious at all. It's like a genre at the moment.
You got Fire Island to do.
Yeah. It's like but Fire Island's like set now, but whereas like there's a lot of these ones now where it's like period piece setting, but they're like more modernized in the way that the tone of the movie feels. I feel like Dakota Johnson looks like she's having a lot of fun in this movie. I think it looked really good. Like I'm going double thumbs up. I'm probably going to watch this.
Yeah, I gave it 2 thumbs up as well. I really like the style and like I'm a sucker for like them talking to camera. I enjoy fourth wall breaking and like winking and nods and like very Fleabag-esque thing. I think Dakota Johnson's like a really good lead. And it's the classic story of the one who got away, and like, and of course, when you're talking to the one who got away, you're wearing jam on your face.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
As you do. Lots of food on the face, on the head in general.
Dump something else on the head later after, yeah.
Yeah, so, fun fact, have not read any Jane Austen, so.
I've read Vampires versus whatever that was called.
Vampires and Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, Pride, Prejudice, and Vampires. I've read that. I've got that. Yep, read that a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Does that count?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So yes, this is coming to Netflix on 15th of July. So the next 3 are like high school drama, high school films. First up, we've got Boo Bitch.
What? Oh shit.
Created by Tim Schauer, Kuba Solitskia, Aaron Ehrlich, and Lauren Ironrich. Starring Lana Condor, Zoe Colletti, Mason Versor, and Aparna Brill. The series follows a high school senior who lived most of her life flying safely under the radar. When she realizes that over the course of one night she's able to alter her narrative and start living an epic life, she jumps at the opportunity, only to wake up the next morning to learn that she's a motherfucking ghost. Dylan, what do you think of Boo Bitch?
I think this looked pretty fun. Weird concept, but that's just sort of it's like, I don't know how any of it makes sense, but that's fine. I'll just buy into the supernatural logistics of this particular program. I think I'm most interested just to watch it for Lana Condor, I guess, at this stage. I'm just like, she looks like she's having a lot of fun and enjoy watching her and stuff. So, I'm going to go 1 up, 1 down because I like the idea, but I felt like the trailer just felt a little bit off to me. So, yeah, I'm going 1 up, 1 down.
Yeah, I'm going 1 up, 1 down as well. I think it's a weird concept. I feel at the start, I'm like, wow, they're like just ripping off Booksmart because it's pretty much the opening concept of that movie. Just with, different two overachieving
it still just
quiet
feels
girls.
like it feels like they're still ripping off Booksmart, but they're dead while they do it. So,
but they're dead
Yep.
still. Yeah, I like Lana Condor, so I'm excited to see her. But yeah, this trailer was not a very good. Hopefully, it's just not a very good representation of the series. It seems like it seemed very. I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was explaining the joke very well, or like what was interesting about the series. And very much made Lana Condor very unlikable over the course of this.
I feel like you're not supposed to like her to a degree. I guess that's the
probably.
Thing,
and just not explaining anything about the ghost elements of this.
Yeah, I think I was just like, it's just like a confusing trailer because you're like, I don't understand. Like, are they dead?
Wait,
dead?
is she
like,
a
what's
ghost?
the like? She's a ghost.
She
But
can
she's
be
not
ghost,
a ghost,
but she's running into walls.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's weird. So yes, Boo Bitch comes to Netflix on July 8th. I do like the title though. Pretty good title. Next up, we got Honor Society, directed by Oren Zegman, starring Angourie Rice, Gatton Manazaro, Amani Jackson, Amy Kuum, Christopher Mintz-Platz, and Ben Jackson Walker. Honor's sole focus is getting into Harvard. Willing to do whatever it takes, Honor concocts a plan to take down her 3 top competitors until things take a turn when she unexpectedly falls for her biggest competition. Dylan, what do you think of Honor Society?
I really like this one, and I feel like you would have too because it's a lot of talking to the camera. Yeah, it looks fun. It feels like 90s ish, early 2000s high school movie plot thing where it's usually actually the guy. Like, it feels like where the guy does something to trick someone or something like that, and then of course they always fall in love with the girl, like that sort of plot line sort of thing, which has been done, or variations have been done in so many movies before. But in general, this is just like it has a fun cast, has some fun ideas, and even if it may be a little bit predictable, I like the two leads. I like everything else that we've seen them in. Yeah, I'm going 2 thumbs up on this one.
Yeah, I'm going 2 thumbs up as well. You've got me right. I'm a sucker for talking to camera. But Angry Rice, I think she's fantastic, and I'm excited to see her as a lead in something. Obviously, I can't think of anything she's been terrible in, so that's really good. I'm excited to see Matanzaro in something other than Stranger Things. And yeah, it does look kind of formulaic and like the classic high school story, and things we've seen before, but it looks like it'll be a good time, even if it is a bit predictable. So yeah, this one is coming to Paramount Plus on July 29th. Last of these teen drama shows or movies, Hello, Goodbye, and Everything in Between, directed by Michael Lewin, starring Talia Ryder, Jordan Fisher, and Ayo Idabiri. After making a pact to break up before college, Claire and Aiden retrace the steps of their relationship on one last epic date, revisiting familiar, unexpected places as they question, stay together or say goodbye forever. Dylan, what do you think of Hello, Goodbye, and Everything in Between?
I'm going double thumbs down. This looks bad. I don't want to watch this. I got nothing for this. This looks like a dumb idea, dumb plot. This is just this dumb movie. Get out of here. Double thumbs down.
Wow. This is a double thumbs up for me.
No.
I dig the vibe. I really enjoyed Jordan Fisher and everything I've seen him in. It's a weird concept and pitch of this pact of breaking up before college and then them questioning it as they're having the last date. You can kind of see where it's probably going to go. But I'm here for the ride. I mean, I'm here to see two young people realize they don't know anything about love and they've thinking they're too smart, trying to make life easy. Suckers. Yeah, I'm keen to check this out, and I feel like it's going to hit that same sort of vibe as like all those teen Netflix shows that we actually like, or movies we like. So, like To All the Boys and that kind of stuff.
So I only like the first one. The second and third was shit. So
okay,
that's a 33.3%.
I mean, they do make a lot of these type of things, so I mean, some of them are going to be good, and some of them are not going to be good.
1 out of 3.
The cast of this does feel a little bit like it's been formulated by the algorithm. Like the Asian kid, I think I've seen in a bunch of Netflix stuff. I think he was in that Moxie Amy Poehler film. Obviously, Jordan Fisher's been in a bunch of things for Netflix. So yeah. All right, this one comes to Netflix on July 6th. Not far away. Last trailer for this week. Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Directed by Will Speck and Josh Gordon, starring Shawn Mendes, Javier Bardem, Constance Wu, Winslow Fegley, Scoot McNairy, and Brett Feldman. When the Prim family moves to New York City, their young son Josh struggles to adapt to his new school and friends. All that changes when he discovers Lyle, a singing crocodile that loves bars, caviar, and great music. Dylan, what did you think of Lyle Lyle Crocodile?
I'm down.
Here's my question. Behind the curtain a little bit. We get sent a link in our email to this trailer by Sony. Did you see it there, or did you see it when I posted the link in?
No, I watched it when it came out, yeah. Had I heard of it prior? No. Did I know about the book? No.
No. I also didn't know about the book, but apparently it's a big deal.
Apparently it's a big deal. I watched this the other day, whenever it dropped, and I immediately thought, wow, this looks like a not as good Paddington. But it's a crocodile. And I continued to watch the trailer, and I'm thinking, but you know what? that's not a bad thing. Because to a degree, Shawn Mendes playing a crocodile, singing a bunch of songs, and some reason Javier Bardem of all actors is playing like the lovable like friend or whatever. I'm down. I'm going double thumbs up. I watched this and I've actually watched this trailer twice. Because when you reposted in Slack, I was like, watch it again, I guess. I'm down. I think it looks silly. It's for kids, obviously. But yeah, it's hit something for me. So I'm going double thumbs up. I'm down.
I'm going to go one up, one down. I don't think it's a great trailer. I think the concept is interesting.
Hey, it's a teaser trailer, motherfucker.
It's a teaser trailer. But it's like 2 minutes plus.
Yeah, it's a long
enough to be. That's how long I like my cutoff kind of for trailers for this segment. Yeah, it's just a weird concept. It does give off like it's trying to be Paddington, but of course it's American, so it's got to be an animal that's like scary. Even though bears, I guess bears are scary, but not little tiny bears. But yeah, it's just silly. It's him having a bath and like hiding himself with a towel.
Yep.
And like Constance Wu at point painting him like he's one of her French girls. There is a moment where he eats a cat.
And spits it out though.
Spit much later.
Yeah.
It's clearly a lot of time has
It's a long
passed.
digestive like gurgle.
I don't know about that.
There was also a part in the Clifford trailer where Clifford ate a dog.
I mean, yeah.
I never watched that movie.
I
remember that from the trailer, so
that was a very, very successful movie. I don't know. I think the crocodile design does not lend itself to the voice coming out of it.
I think they like purposely don't want it to look too scary
lips,
either.
There's no lips, I think, is the problem.
This is what they had the problem with Lion King.
Yeah. How are you supposed to voice a crocodile?
No, man. I feel like they're purposely trying not to even like try and make it look too realistic.
It's meant to be very cartoony or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. I'm giving one down. This is coming to cinemas Boxing Day here in Australia. So,
Merry
Get
Christmas. Take the kids to see the Crocodile movie on Boxing Day.
Yeah. All right. Let us know what you thought of all these trailers. And again, let us know what your casting picks are for the upcoming live-action Hercules movie by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump into our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser or tell people about the show. And leave 5 stars. Anyway, you can leave 5 stars. And if you like this episode so much and you think it's worth at least $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Can you either like cut this part out and put it earlier or just leave it here as a bit? But I watched the other 2 episodes of that Pokemon Hisuian Snow thing. Like that, There was 3 episodes. They're about 10-15 minutes each or whatever. So it's like half an hour thing. Really fucking good. I wish it was a whole series. I highly suggest watching it on the YouTubes. It's free. Animation is beautiful. Good shit.
Okay, I'll see if I remember.
There's my mini review of that.